We have a brand new champion coming to the game of Raid, and it is High Mother Mod. I'm going to be talking about her in this video today, so let's get into it. Alright guys, so we have the brand new champion, High Mother Mod, right here, and she's going to be a new legendary Fragment Collector champion that you can continuously fuse over and over and over forever, indefinitely. So you can continue to get a +4 if you wanted to, and then get multiple copies of her as well if you wanted to, with the new system that's going to be coming to the game next week and the new patch. So stay tuned for it. Stick around. It's going to be amazing. This champion, I haven't read her kit yet, so I will be reading it for the first time today. She's going to be a legendary force support champion, and she's going to be with Sacred Order, so actually not bad. It's not the hardest faction to beat. Let's go over this kit. On her A1 Blessed Spear, attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a decreased attack for 2 turns, which is not bad, right? And it's booked out to a 70% chance. That's very high. It's actually really good for Clan Boss, good for general progression, good for wave-based content, good for Hydra if you're trying to put decreased attack on the Head of Wrath. So not bad. Also an 80% chance of placing an increased attack buff on the ally with the highest attack for 1 turn. That's also very strong for Hydra in general content. It's also decent for the arena as well, but let's go through her kit to determine if she's truly an arena champion or PvE, or is she a well-rounded generalist type champion. So for the A2, Phalanx on a 4-turn cooldown, booked down to a 3-turn, which is not bad. It does give a more damage and debuff chances as well. So I wonder if she's going to be a damage type champion as well as a support champion. Interesting because of the damage that can be booked out on the A1 and the A2. So attacks all enemies, 75% chance of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 2 turns. Amazing. That's huge. Huge, Plarium, because we need decreased durations more so than ever before because of the polymorph blessing. And with decrease in the duration, it does not set off the polymorph blessing's ability where it will sheep your champions, because you have to remove the buff completely, not just decrease the duration. So you could decrease the duration so that it goes away, which is kind of like removing, but it's not coded that way in the game. So if you do decrease the duration of a stone skin, for example, by 2 turns, if you get lucky, then awesome. They have no more stone skin. You get a 50-50 shot at it, basically. Then increase the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Very strong. That's like a kind of a Krisk-esque sort of ability. Good for general progression. Good for, of course, Clan Boss to extend the block debuffs for the stun if you're not running a traditional, or if you're running a traditional team rather than a Ultra Nightmare like unkillable or block damage team. But so that's really good. And then you could also run her in Hydra if you want to continuously increase resistance on your team. If you're using like a Noella or other increased resistance champ, increase the block debuffs on your team, increase heals, the continuous heals, so on and so forth. So that's huge. Also heals all allies by 20% of this champion's max HP. That's massive. So you just build her really tanky as a support based mainly champion. So it doesn't seem like you're going to want to go with damage on this champion, but if some people will be able to get a little bit of damage, but mainly she's going to be there for protection, adding some buffs, increasing the buff duration. She's doing a lot, decreasing their buff duration. So that's huge. That is on a 3-turn cooldown. That's a very strong ability. The Psalm of Revival. So that's on a 6-turn, booked down to a 4-turn cooldown. Revives all dead allies. 50% HP, 50% turn meter. If an ally's defense is equal to or higher than their attack, places an increased defense buff on them, which is nice. And if an ally's attack is higher than their defense, places an increased attack buff instead. So if you have nukers that are defense-based, she's going to be really good. Offense-based, she's going to be really good. I think that's a huge ability. And then for her passive, now she doesn't have any turn meter increase. That's the only downside right now. So for her passive, Shining Evensong removes 1 random debuff from all allies at the start of this champion's turn. Jeez! That's better than Doom Priest, of course. She could be like a replacement for potentially Tuhanarok. I think Tuhanarok removes 2 debuffs though, because she's a Void Legendary. Wow, if she's paired up with Tuhanarok, that could be a deadly combination. That could be a really deadly combination. Wow. then places a 15% continuous heal buff on an ally with the lowest HP for 1 turn at the end of this champion's turn. She is a crazy healer. Crazy healer, good buffs. Wow. Removes the enemy team's buffs. Increase accuracy in all battles for an aura by 60. That is very, very strong. So this is going to be an extremely powerful Hydra champion, mainly for PvE, also for PvP if you put her on defense. If you're putting her really tanky or you're putting her in Stone Skin, put her in a bolster set, she could actually be pretty decent in arena as well. Live arena, classic arena, tag team arena for any player out there. And of course, you can get her from selling off your fragments that are unwanted from the Fragment Shop. So if you're over here in the portal, you go to the Fragment Summon portal here. I call it the shop, but it's basically going to be a shop, right? Starting next week. So you can sell off your epics, you can sell off your legendaries, and every 5 legendaries gives you a chest that you can pop and potentially get a fragment for this champion right here in High Mother mod. So that's going to be huge. And then if you have these epics, you sell off 25 of the fragments, and then you can get a chest. So for those players who have been sticking around for a long, long time, for like me, for example, I've been playing this game for over 4 years. I have so many champions that I didn't go for that I'm never going to get. The only downside is I don't think Plarium's going to give us ways anymore to try to collect fragments. So that does stink, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So this is a very strong champion. You can fuse her multiple times, so you can get a +4 out of her. So that's pretty cool. I wonder how fast it will be for people to get this champion if they have so many fragments that are overage from previous fusions and stuff. Now going forward, if you're just starting out, she is going to take a lot longer to obtain for people who are just starting out in the game. So I do think that's a little bit of a downside. So I'm wondering if Plarium is going to turn up the heat and have more fragment champions for fusions as compared to your classical fusions, because that's going to really help a lot of the player base if they continue to do fragment champions rather than regular classic fusion champions. So I do feel bad for people who are just coming into the game and they're trying to get this champion and they just unfortunately won't have fragments to be able to sell off to get chests until they start doing fragment champions. So I also think that Plarium will start pushing the agenda on people participating a little bit more in fragment champion fusions, which means they're going to be having less, we're going to have less resources because we're going to spend most likely a lot more shards. And I do have a feeling that they're going to gate a lot of the fragments behind summon rushes. It is even possible, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but I'm not going to put it past them, that they could bring in for the summon rushes for champion, fragment champions for fusions, they could bring in 3 different summoning type events, right? And then they could basically gate a lot of the fragments behind summoning events, or they could gate it behind dungeon divers, which honestly, dungeon divers is getting harder and harder. And yeah, those are the 2 hardest, I would say, for events or tournaments to do for most people, most players, especially if you're an early game player or a mid game player. So yeah, that's going to be it for this one though. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. What do you think of this new chick, High Mother mod? I think she's going to be an amazing champion for anybody who's going to be going for her. And I'm excited to get her. I hope I can get her within the next couple of months. That would be fantastic. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel on your way out, and I'll see you on a video soon. Take care.